Hey, what's up, guys? David Gascon here. Welcome to Benny versus the Penny. Ben's in the pen right now warming up. Before we get this thing underway, I want to let you guys know that this show is powered by Ecamm Live. Ecamm's a Boston-based company for all your MacBook streaming purposes. If you're creative content, you're a producer, you're a teacher, anyone in the social media space, if you want to get things done on Ecamm Live, you can certainly do so with graphics and things of that nature. So you can stream it on YouTube, Facebook Live, Zoom, Skype, the whole 9 yards. It's really a great resourceful tool, courtesy of Ecamm Live. It's Mac-based, so that's the only thing that's a little bit different in case you have a PC or anything else of that nature. Just a heads up for you. A couple other things, too. If you want to follow us, every week we're going to be doing Benny versus the Penny. It just depends on a certain time. But if you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner of your screen, subscribe. That'll give you an indication when Ben and I go live. Also, social media handles. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. And Ben's got a little something for you as well. A nice little giveaway to all those that contribute. So with that being said, we got to get this thing underway. And let me introduce the big man on campus, Ben Maller.
Hey, am I allowed to talk now, Gascon? I mean,
You are.
I know you wanted to hijack Benny versus the Penny and all that. How dare you? But yeah, I am fired up now. I love hats. One of my nicknames, Gascon, I have more nicknames than anybody in radio, is the Mad Hatter of Sports Chatter. And so our friends at Fanatics have partnered with Benny versus the Penny here. And there's a link. I can't see the link, Gascon. I'm looking for the link. Where's the link, Gascon? But it's on there somewhere, right? At the bottom of the page, you can find the link.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah.
So if you go to the bottom of the screen on our YouTube description, it'll have everything that's laid out in terms of where to follow us and find us on social media. But also underneath the Ecamm Live affiliate link, there's one for Fanatics. If you just grab that link, put it in, you can get things at a discounted rate there, courtesy of Fanatics. And so we're getting things done. We're doing it live, and we're doing it at the tail end of the week, so we're impeding on your Friday night, but it's for a good cause.
I was going to go take a nap, and I got to do this, Gascon. And at least you don't look – let me see what you're wearing here. I'm trying to – you don't look quite like Jim Cramer as much. You are – but you actually – wait a minute. Now you are wearing – see, the mic's covering it up. I can't see. You got that giant, oversized microphone that's way too big. It's almost as big as your huge head there.
I got a size 7 1/4 head. You got a size 8, so I wouldn't be talking about
That's right, size 8.
So.
Thank you very much. Shout out Missouri Tigers, by the way. Another hat sent by a listener, Gascon. You see that?
That's good. Who sent it to you?
Oh, I don't even remember. I don't even remember. This one was sent a while ago. But anyway, listen here. So before we look forward, Gascon, we must look back, all the way back to last weekend. And you were a doubting Thomas, right? You didn't believe in the powers of Benny versus the Penny. And so let's take a look at the numbers on how I did. Now, keep in mind, I would only be doing this, Gascon, because I had a good weekend to begin the NFL season. I was very concerned with all the different things that have taken place this year in the NFL, with training camp and all the fugazi stuff that's been going on with that and the corona, COVID, whatever you want to call it. So I was very happy with the numbers. They're very happy with the numbers. You see 10-5-1. Look at that. That's a 667 winning percentage.
Now,
cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Now, for broadcasting purposes, everyone that's actually looking at what we have built out, I actually did the team a favor. I kept out your Thursday night game because that's on a different platform. So technically speaking, Benny versus the Penny here, you're 10-4-1. That's a slugging percentage of 714, which is fantastic. So,
see, I think it's all tied together, and I think that because last night I had the Cincinnati Bengals, one of the great backdoor covers, Gascon.
Yes.
Joe Burrow with less than a minute to go, touchdown Cincinnati, and the Bengals win the money. The Browns win the game. Who cares about that? People like me that had a little bit on the Cincinnati Bengals get the great backdoor cover. And so I'd like to thank Joe Burrow for throwing 61 passes. That was his final pass attempt, and that was the key one there as the Bengals hung around. And they got – how about the Bengals defense gave up like 6-7 yards a carry. Every time the Browns were running, they get a get a huge chunk, and still Cincinnati able to do, with no running game of themselves, able to cover the spread. So that was a great. So we're already off. Even though you don't count this, Gascon, when I win, I'm going to count that. So I consider myself 11-5-1 to start the NFL season. Now, keep in mind, the most important number in gambling on sports. Well, there's a couple of things. Money management's obviously the most important, but in terms of wins and losses, in order to win money as a sports bettor, you have to win more than 52.4% of your bets. That's the magic number. You got to be over 52.4. So let's just round it up to 53%. We'll use some Maller math on this. So if you're at 53%, you've won a little bit of money. And if you really want to make any real money, you got to be much higher than that. But that's the bottom line. Because of the VIG, the way it's set up with the casinos, you got to do it. And so we're already way over that. We want to stay above that number. That'll be a good year, Gascon, if we are above that number.
Well,
and as always, Gascon, this is marginal handicapping. You should never, ever blindly bet every one of these games, because you would be the village idiot if you did that. Just want to point that out right now.
Well, the other thing you should point out, and I'm surprised that you did not, is if you look on that right-hand column right there, you'll see that team ARZ, the Arizona Cardinals, your boy Kyler Murray with an upset victory in Santa Clara. That was a straight-up victory, and they were 7-point dogs. So part of the reason why you've been so triumphant, at least in week number one, is you backed the right quarterback and you backed Kyler Murray, a guy that you absolutely trashed last season.
Well, and let me keep in mind, Kyler Murray, the most important thing, see, these running quarterbacks are great. It's a good gimmick to have. But as we have seen, you've got to be able to ultimately throw the football. Kyler Murray actually didn't throw the ball that well compared to every other quarterback in the NFL, but he was able to run the ball, and that was the secret against the 49ers. It also helped that George Kittle got hurt. Let's also factor that in for the Niners. Yeah, why do you like Kyler Murray? Do you like little people? Is that?
No,
I mean, what is going on with you guys? I think you have a thing for little people.
Well, he's a fantastic quarterback, and he wore out DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins, had 14 grabs in that game for $159. So, I mean, he went to his primary guy that they picked up and served him well.
Well, I mean, that's not, I've never coached in the NFL a day. If I had DeAndre Hopkins, I would throw him the ball every time. I don't think that you should get credit for that. That's what you're supposed to do.
Okay, yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't gotten a lot of work since he's arrived in Cleveland. That doesn't mean anything. He's one of the best receivers in the National Football League. You still don't go to your number one guy all the time. So, what do you have, 4 receptions last night for 74 yards? So,
yeah, but his hair looked marvelous. His hair looked absolutely marvelous there. So I don't know what you're talking about with that nonsense. Now we do have the chat room. So before we start picking the games, Gascon,
yes,
I'm a man of the people. I know you're west of the 405. You're an elitist. You're not about the people. I'm all about the people. Right. By the way, I see the Fanatics link, Gascon. I guess I just had to open my eyes there. I see the Fanatics link. But we have, let's see, Tapped in Tommy says Maller versus Metal. So Maller versus Metal, we have that. Walt says next week we should have Bella versus the Penny. So Bella was actually, I don't know where Bella is. Bella was in here somewhere walking around earlier.
Yeah, you have a massive studio, so that's why she probably got lost in that thing.
Yeah, Chris writes in. He says, "Can we please turn off David Gascon? Can we turn off that
Can't
Gascon
do that.
there?
Can't do slow mode either. So sorry about that."
Dan points out that little Kyler Murray is a grown-up helmet looking like the Great Gazoo. In a grown-up helmet, yeah, he looks like you don't even know who the Great Gazoo is, Gascon.
He's got he's you call him an Oompa Loompa, I'll call him a winner, and he's got fat wallets. So that's all I got to say about that. So you can trash him all you want, but dude's making.
You don't know if he has fat wallets. Maybe he's bad with his money. Maybe he's made financial mistakes. A lot of these athletes do. You don't know that.
I don't think so, especially in the Valley of the Sun. I don't think so. No taxes there, man. You're a little bit different in Arizona.
Well, what are you talking about, Arizona? You know, Scottsdale is like the Beverly Hills of Arizona. If he lives in Scottsdale, that's expensive.
No.
That runs up the money there.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. All right. Well, should we start picking the games?
Can we stop breaking the fourth wall on every damn show, please? The fourth wall is there for a reason.
No, what's the point of doing it live if we can't have live feedback? We might as well just record this and then that's it, like the damn podcast. But we actually asked people, these idiots, to stay up, and they're here. The morons have arrived. Look at that. They're all lined up. Yeah.
So where do you want to go? What are we starting with first?
All right, so the first game here, the LA Rams. You can ram it all day. You can ram it all night. The Rams at Philadelphia. It is on Fox. Kevin Kugler and Chris Spielman have the call for this particular game. Now, the Eagles, originally when this line came out, they were like a 4-point favorite. Eagles at one point were a 1-point dog. At this moment, the Eagles are a 1-point favorite at home. And at Lincoln Financial Field, the home of Fats in Philly, the weather 63 and sunny at kickoff for the Rams and the Eagles. And this is a game I went back and forth on, but I settled in. The final pick is on the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to take the Eagles at home as a small favorite here. I would start by saying, great job by the Rams upending the Cowboys last week. Jalen Ramsey wins the Oscar for that sell job. That's a good job by Ramsey. It's the defensive back's job in that situation. You get beat, you try to get the official to throw a flag. And that's on the official not to throw the flag. The official threw the flag. That was a great job by him. And we see this all the time in all sports. Flopping is part of sports. And so that's a big-time, prime-time win with no fans in attendance. So I would expect a bit of a letdown this week. The Cowboys, that's a big game, even though there are no fans there. And so they're now going on the road. The first road game, early game, body clock time on the East Coast, which has usually been a bit of a problem. And while I would like to see the Rams win, I do not trust Jared Goff. I simply do not trust Jared Goff. That said, I did love what the Rams did offensively, the quick release, the passing offense implemented last week to mitigate the rushing attack of the Cowboys defense. So I'd like to see them do that every game, although it was not as effective for the Rams in the second half, but it does put the handcuffs on the opponent there. Now, secondly, Philadelphia. Now, why would you pick Philadelphia? They had a 17-point lead and lost to Dwayne Haskins. He had 27. He didn't actually play all that well, but somehow they came up with 27 unanswered points. They also have a bunch of injuries that are piling up like dirty dishes there in Philly. They've got a mistake-prone quarterback in Carson Wentz. He's got 19 fumbles in 17 games since the start of last season. Butterfingers Wentz, we can call him. I saw that Alshon Jeffrey's out again. There was some talk he might be able to play. So I'm going to take a bit of a contrarian pick, even though it's at home. I understand the public really likes the Rams in this game because of the way the Eagles played against Washington. But starting out 0-2 for Philadelphia, they weren't expected to be great, but they were expected to be a contender in the NFC East. And to lose at home to the Rams, that would be a blow. It's going to be close. It's going to be a nip-and-tuck game. I expect the Eagles to get the win here. I do not trust Jared Goff. I hope I'm wrong on this. Eagles 27, Rams 24, the final. All right, what's the penny picking, Gascon?
Penny's going with the LA Rams. You could ram it all day and you could ram it all night. Ben, they're 8-2 in their last 10 against the spread on the road. Carson Wentz got sacked 8 times last week. What do you think Aaron Donald's going to do to these cats?
Well, the Eagles are going to have to change up. But remember, Gascon, just because something worked last week doesn't mean it's going to work this week. It's a different opponent. My favorite fun fact when I was handicapping, looking at this game, remember the great debate when Jared Goff and Carson Wentz went first and second in the 2016 draft, and there was like, who should go number one? Should it be Wentz? Should it be Goff? And obviously we know how it turned out. And now here we are a couple years later, and Jared Goff has a 34-21 record as a starter in 55 games, has a passer rating of 91.7, which isn't good. Right? It's not great. He's been part of some winning teams. 91.7 passer rating is average. Well, Carson Wentz, for all the hype about Carson Wentz, he actually has a worse winning percentage, 32-25 in 57 games. So he's played 2 more. and his passer rating is 92.3. So it's almost the same. They've essentially had the same career, except Wentz has been hurt more. And so, well, but crowd will say, hey, wait a minute, they won the Super Bowl. Well, Carson Wentz didn't play. And I promise you, if he had played, they would have lost. They would have lost that game to the Falcons that year in the playoffs. So stop with that nonsense. But it is weird.
Yeah.
It is weird. All right. Yeah. Ty writes in, says, how are the Rams still under the salary cap? I'll tell you why. Am I allowed to curse on this Gascon or no? I can't curse.
Can we keep it clean? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it for Ty. Ty actually has some good stuff. So I'm able to add some stuff to the broadcast. So I'm going to actually, depending on who's doing what, I'm going to add these comments to the actual feed. So some of them, if they're okay, I'm going to accept it. So I will break the fourth wall along with you, Ben. And Ty's asking how the Rams still under the cap.
Yeah, well, there is no salary cap. The salary cap is bullcrap. Okay, the salary cap is if we don't want to pay someone, we don't have the money. If we want to pay you, we have the money. Yeah. There is no logic to it. It may look at Kansas City. Kansas City had, what did they have? No money. They signed Mahomes to this huge contract. In the last year or so, they've signed Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, and
Fred Clark.
And Mahomes. Yeah, and that's right. I mean, everybody's been getting paid.
Yeah.
You get paid. You get over in the back. Even guys in this dumb chat room are getting paid as well on YouTube. It's crazy. I saw when first of all, when the Rams made the big move, was it with Jalen Ramsey? He said, okay, well, that's got to be it. That's got to be the last move. And since then, they have signed both of their receivers to big contracts. In addition, I mean, everyone's getting money. It doesn't make any sense. All right, next game up for us, Benny versus the Penny. We go now to Raymond James Stadium in the Tampa St. Pete market. Carolina at Tampa Bay. It's an NFC South matchup. It's on Fox. Adam Amin, is that how you say his name?
Adam Amin.
Adam Amin. I was completely wrong on that. He's been doing this for a couple of years. I should probably learn how to say his name. Adam Amin and Mark Schlereth. Right, they call the game. The Buccaneers opened up 3.5 originally a while back. Now they are 9.5-point favorites. Now, obviously, that was a line probably before the year, but the current line is 9.5. Tampa favored at home. It's going to be mostly cloudy, 87 degrees at kickoff. A toasty, warm day in the Tampa market there, and I am going to take Carolina. I like Carolina in this game. Now, first of all, Teddy Bridgewater from a gambling standpoint, I like Carolina. Let me be clear here. But Teddy Bridgewater, he was pretty good. He was pretty good, not great. I think that's who he is. He's a mid-level quarterback as a starter in the NFL. He's right in the middle of the bell curve, which is not the worst place to be. It's also limited. You have to have great players around you to be truly dominant. But the Panthers put together 3 drives of 10 or more plays against that Raider defense. They scored 30 points. And if you can just get that every week, man, would you take that? And so that's not a bad way to begin the year. They have that lethal weapon, Christian McCaffrey, who should by himself get you at least a couple of touchdowns just going out there running around. Now, secondly, the Tampa side's where the drama is because they lost last week in pretty unspectacular fashion against the Saints. We saw that game. The ratings were pretty good for it. The debut of Tom Brady, who again looked washed up. Let's call the spade a spade. He looked washed up here, and Bruce Arians was critical. I love how everyone's, you can't say that about Tom Brady. What's wrong with you? So ridiculous. We did a monologue about that, how dumb that is. Tom Brady's a grown-ass man. He's 43 years old. He can handle it, and not everyone's going to be silent like Belichick and all that and play it by the book. But this is a big game here early in the year for Tampa. This is a game they're expected to win. They're a huge favorite. I don't believe that TB12 is going to stink every game. I'm not naive to believe that, but he has been a walking disaster the last couple of years. He hasn't been his old vintage, and you figure that Brady, the problem here is getting those big plays because of the way that the Buccaneers offense is with Brady, because of the way he checks down all the time and he has these little dump off passes. It does not present a lot of chunk plays. But that said, the Raiders had 372 yards of offense last week against Carolina. So there's yards to be gotten there, but Tampa's going to be without Chris Godwin, Gascon. He's not expected to play. He's in the concussion protocol. He hasn't been ruled out yet. So I just think this line is too inflated. And I've said for years, in a divisional game, when you get over a touchdown, you don't have to do any of this marginal handicapping. The path to winning is to take the points. And until the Bucs show dominance, that's a big number to cover, almost double digits. So I am going to take the points. I cannot lay the points with Tampa, so I'll take Carolina. And the Buccaneers will win, but the Panthers will win the money. Bucs 31, Panthers 24. All right. The
penny is going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man, that stat line for Mike Evans in last week, Rob Gronkowski, well, they have 3 grabs for 13 yards.
Well, yeah, Gronkowski. Let me tell you, I think, what do I have here? I got this bottle right here. I don't know if you can see this. This is Stadium Sauce, Secret Stadium Sauce. Corn Dog sent me this, Gascon. Corn Dog right there it is. And this could actually run and get open more than Rob Gronkowski at this point. So, yeah, he's not great. Frank in L.A. says Tampa's D is not all that good. Tampa Bay 34-30. He says, skip the zip. Tom Brady was washed up and Gronk made Mel Brooks look athletic. See, that's a good line. I know that's the fourth rail, my man. Black Sheep writes in. He says Tom is 900 now. He's finished. It's why Bill let him walk. Yeah. Well, isn't the story that Belichick wanted to get rid of Brady a couple years ago and go with Jimmy Garoppolo, and then he was overruled by the powers that be?
So you ship off Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett, and they get nice little landing spots in San Francisco and in Indianapolis. So it's not bad. It's not like they got albatross down in like Tampa Bay or even Arizona at the time.
No, but my point is that Belichick wanted Garoppolo. That was his guy.
Right.
And so he was overruled. All right, moving on. Denver, your Denver Broncos. Gascon, a Bronco fanboy, and they take on Pittsburgh. It's on CBS. Greg Gumbel and Rich Gannon have the call on CBS. This game opened Steelers by 7. Last line I saw, Steelers are a 7.5-point favorite at home. Sunny, 58 degrees at kickoff at Heinz Field. See, that sounds to me like football weather. That's what it's supposed to be this time of the year in Pittsburgh, right? In the 50s at kickoff, and it'll get down to the low 50s by the end of the game there in the Steel City. I'm going to take the Broncos in this game. Uncle Vic Fangio, your guy, Gascon. Uncle Vic reeling from clock management. He should have read my book, On Time Maller, By the Clock, For the Clock, Plausibly All About the Clock, because that book would have kept him from making the terrible mistake that he made. Unfortunately, Denver, they will not be able to use those timeouts that Uncle Vic saved this weekend against the Steelers. I would like to propose what I call the Vic Fangio rule. I'm going to run this by you, Gascon, before we get back to the handicapping. How about this? In future weeks, if you have spare timeouts, they carry over to the next game. How about that? Would that be great? Would that be a fun variable to the NFL? So if you don't use your timeouts, and you can build up up to 12 timeouts. You could have 12 timeouts in a game. How about that?
Well, we could do that. That was probably the worst clock management I've seen since Andy Reid a few years ago. They lost a bunch of close games last year, and now they start off week number 1 losing a game like that they probably should have won.
Well, listen, all things considered, I had the Broncos, and again, I believe they won the money there.
Yeah,
so I'm happy about that. They covered the spread. So I would consider that a good start from a gambling standpoint. Yeah. Losing Von Miller before the game against a hyped-up Tennessee team, and they stood their ground, certainly defensively. Now, people will say because of all those missed field goals, but still, if you're a defense and you're forcing just field goal attempts, I'll take that. If the Broncos can force a bunch of field goal attempts and not give up touchdowns, that is good. Tennessee had some long drives, but they had to settle for field goals there. And the thing about the Broncos, though, this week, I am on the Broncos. They've lost some more guys to injury. You look at the injury report. Phillip Lindsay with the toe, he's out. So Melvin Gordon, who fumbled last week, that led to a Tennessee touchdown. He's back, going to be the featured back. Mark Barron, the linebacker's out. A.J. Boye, he's also out. They've lost those guys. And then Well, I love the Steelers defense. And originally, I'm going to tell you, I was on the side of the Steelers here because of the defense, and they should be able to take Drew Lock's lunch money with Bud Dupree and TJ Watt, and you put a young quarterback, make him have some decisions to make. My issue here is with the Steelers' offensive line. They lost Zach Banner, the son of our colleague Lincoln Kennedy from Fox Sports Radio, he had a big leg injury, so he's on injured reserve. But check this out. All right, what are you doing? Are you drinking something right now? How dare you? I'm breaking down a game, and you're drinking something right now? How about you get a straw?
Well,
jeez.
It's a water bottle. Would you rather me be drinking whiskey right now or what?
How do I know that's water? I don't know if it's water or not.
Oh.
All right, anyway, let me make my point. So you got Zach Banner, the starting right tackle. He's out. David DeCastro, who's a starting guard, and Steven Wisniewski, another starting guard. Both these guys are out. 3 offensive linemen. See you later. They're not going to play. Pittsburgh's offensive line going to be stretched, right? Like that flubber stuff. Everyone and their mother is betting on the Steelers here. So I'm saying Roethlisberger is going to get crushed. The Steelers are not going to be able to run with Benny Snell. So I will take the Steelers to win, but a much closer game. This will be a field goal game. Pittsburgh 27, the Broncos 24 will be your final. And the Penny picks.
Penny's got the Denver Broncos 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games following a loss. So not too shabby, especially if it's on the road with an empty stadium. So it's not bad. Were you a big fan of some of the old school stadiums like Three Rivers?
Not Three Rivers, but some of those. Remember the old Cleveland Browns stadium?
Yeah, wasn't it Cleveland Municipal Stadium?
Yeah. Because I remember when the Indians would play there would be like 2,000 people, and then when the Browns would play there, it'd be like 100,000 people, and it just looked like a crazy place. Also, remember the old stadium in Foxborough that looked like a trash can that the Patriots played in? It looked like a high school stadium.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
They played in that.
Ralph Wilson was pretty good. Old Mile High Stadium with the rocking stands, cameras shaking all about.
Ralph Wilson Stadium is still in Buffalo. That's still there.
I thought they renovated it though, didn't they?
Well, they renovated it, but I was there, years ago now. I've probably been there. I was 10 years ago. I was in Buffalo at a game, and it was renovated, but it wasn't fully renovated. How about that?
Yeah, I got you. Nothing will be like Dodger Stadium in a few years when we got like the gondola rides like going up to Chavez Ravine, right?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong with that? Nothing could possibly go wrong with that. You're assuming, Gascon, that people will be allowed to go back to the stadium, is what you're assuming.
Now, here's one thing I overlooked, and I don't know if you had recognized this, but I want to ask. What's the name on the helmet for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday?
Oh, the name. I don't give a you-know-what. I don't give a rat's ass about what name's on the helmet. Stop. I'm there for the football, Gascon. I'm sure that Pouncey will put some offensive name on there and claim he has no idea what it is. But that's how they roll. Whatever. Fine. Enjoy yourself. Knock yourself out.
It's a third rail, my man.
All right. Moving on. The Atlanta Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys. It's on Fox. Kevin Burkhardt and Daryl Moose Johnston have the call. The Cowboys opened up. The number I saw originally was 7. They are a 4-point favorite at AT&T Stadium. 79 degrees and sunny outside that palace that Jerry Jones built, Jerry's World. I'm going to take the Cowboys here as a somewhat small home favorite. Jerry Jones thought last week he was going to eat, drink, and be merry in La La Land. Obviously, with the Rams, we know what happened. They squeezed out an upset in the opener. So now the pressure cranked all the way up. The Cowboys with a game in Seattle next week. So this is a situation where it's a sandwich game. You start out on the road, a big game, because it's on Sunday night, and then next week, another big game against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. So the reason this game is it's a sandwich game, but it's a big spot, because if you stumble this week as Dallas, you have a legitimate chance of starting 0-3 with Mike McCarthy, and then they crank up the fire on McCarthy's took us. And on a positive note, there will be human beings in the crowd in Texas. Jerry Jones, 25% capacity. I was reading the other day, about 20,000 fans will be in attendance to watch the Cowboys. Yeah, 20,000 from what I read the other day. So that's around 20,000. And that stadium seats, how many does that seat? 80,000, 100,000, something like that. So I think it's 80,000. So that's good. Spread them out. Let them in. Let the people in, right?
That's right.
All right. Now, meanwhile, you've got Matty Ice on the other side. Now, I was not all that impressed with the Cowboys defense to start with. Now they've lost a couple of guys. But the reason I like the Cowboys here, the Falcon defense is the undoing. The Falcons have one of the most embarrassing secondaries in the NFL. They should be wearing that paper bag that I was wearing the other night talking about the Clippers. And so the one thing I know, true, I've done many a monologue taking pot shots at Dak Prescott over his career, but this guy puts out the Mona Lisa when he's playing bad defenses and second-rate opponents, and that is what the Atlanta Falcons are. So one thing I know about Dak, he's going to get his numbers. This is a cream puff situation, Gascon. So we'll see what happens. I like the Cowboys to pull away and win big. I'm going to take the Cowboys 37 and the Falcons 23.
Ben, the penny is also telling you going with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
What are you doing what are you doing with Dak though next season? Do you pay that guy franchise tag money?
I would franchise tag him again and let him go. I would do it again and say, get out of here.
So this is the carbon copy then of Kirk Cousins, right? I mean, with what he did in Washington.
Walt writes in, he says, Gascon sounds great. Ben sounds like he's using a built-in mic on his computer. Is that right, Gascon? Do I sound bad? You're the engineer. You're the engineer, Gascon. You're supposed to make this sound good.
You sound good to me. We'll wait for the we'll wait for the final reviews when they come in once everything is over and done with. So, and that reminds me, since you brought it up originally when we had when the show started for everyone that's in here, Fanatics hooking us up. So for anybody that wants to, if you like the show, if you want to support the show, got a couple links in the description. One of them is set up through Fanatics. The tail end of the link is Benny Penny. So if you put that link in, you can buy items at discounted rates and prices and whatnot. We're going to try to work on some things, Ben and I, next week in terms of shipping, try to get that stuff eliminated and also some additional discounts. But thanks for everyone for chipping on in and watching the show, even with
absolutely.
Even with the different time, the 9 o'clock start here in the West Coast.
That's the great thing about the internet. We can do it whenever we want. We can do it at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, you name it, we can do it. And the people will be here. The people will be here, Gascon. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. The late night drug tester says plenty of room for Chris to get a phone in. Ask his cellmate, he says. I don't know exactly. That must be an inner conversation in the chat there, Gascon. Lee, how about Lee? He says, Ben, is that your house? It looks like, what's he say? It looks like a library. Yeah, it is amazing. It's nighttime, but the sun's still up behind me. Look at that, Gascon. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I like what you've done with the ceiling. It's very nice with the hanging lights, and then of course the nice clear buildings. It looks like you're downtown. Like that's almost reminiscent of the Gas Lab district down in San Diego next to Petco Park. It's pretty nice. It's pretty sleek.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's like that Alaska time, when the sun's up 23 hours a day or something like that. It's the same thing. Now the Black Sheep says he's on Hawaiian time, so this is ideal. There you go.
It's pretty good.
Pierre says there's free shipping on orders over $24 tonight on Fanatics. So there you go. Take advantage of it. All right. Next up, Santa Clara. Yes, guys.
No, I was going to say, make sure you use the code, and obviously that helps us out a ton.
Exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, it's good for Fanatics, but not good for us. So, all right, Santa Clara at the Jets. The Santa Clara slash San Francisco 49ers at the Jets. It's on Fox. Now, my guy, friend of the Maller Militia, Kenny Albert, was supposed to call this game, but he is still being quarantined. He is still being quarantined by the idiots at the NFL. He's not allowed to call the game. So someone named Brandon Godden will be calling this game with Jonathan Vilma. And that's the Fox game. So Kenny is still sitting on his couch, apparently, banned, even though he's fine. And he was in Canada, in Edmonton, and had no issues. But it's some of the stupidity in sports today. So the 49ers, a big road favorite. They opened up a 4-point favorite in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. They are favored by 7 points in this game. A 7-point road favorite. Sunny, 6 degrees at kickoff in Jersey. I'm going to take the Jets here. And I talked to you the other day during the week, and I told you I was trying to find a reason to take the Jets. And I found one. I'm going to give it to you in a minute. But there's no team that looked less impressive, less prepared to play pro football than Adam Gase, New York Jets. And that is why he is the favorite to be poleaxed first among all coaches in the NFL. And you look at the key indicators here, and they turn up like a bad penny, like a bad penny. The Jets are, after 1 week, 30th in offense, 31st in rushing yards, 32nd in first downs, and Adam Gase is said to be an offensive genius. And now some of that was the Bills are good. So the Bills are a good team, but still, what are you doing? Now, I do believe in the zigzag theory. Yeah, the zigzag theory is when a team has an amazing game, they come back to earth. When a team has a terrible game and they blow, they normally play much better the following game. You don't typically stack stink bomb performances, at least the first half of the season. Now, late in the year, that can happen. And remember, even though you're a bad team, bad teams do lose close games, Gascon. So there is that. But the main reason I like the Jets, it is more of a bet against the Niners. This is a banged-up 49er team. They're not the team that got to the Super Bowl last year and gagged it away. They have no elite receivers. And George Kittle, the neutron bomb of tight ends, is out. He's got a bum knee. So that means the concussion-prone Jordan Reed will get his opportunity at tight end. Now, Jordan Reed's not a bad player, but he gets hurt all the time. And another reason to like the Jets, everyone and their uncle is betting on the 49ers this game. And that damaged roster, there's no way on God's green earth that with that team that's going to take the field, the Niners should be a touchdown favorite on the road to anybody, even the ugly redheaded stepchild of the NFL, the Jets. So I expect this game to be very close. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets pull the upset, but I'm going to take the points and say that the Niners win on a late field goal here. But if you can take home teams generally and get a touchdown, I mean, that is a good bet, even with a bad team like the Gang Green unit. I'm going to take the Niners 24, Jets 21. And the Penny picks.
Penny can't do it in back-to-back weeks going with San Francisco.
All right.
Listen, because you got into trouble last year like this because you took Cincinnati the first 2 weeks and the Miami Dolphins the first 2 weeks when they weren't playing good football at all, and then you finally jumped ship in week number 3. So I don't know, man.
I hear what you're saying, but home team +7, you take it. Dan writes in, says a 10 a.m. start time for Santa Clara. Take the Jets, he points out. Pierre says, what are you talking about, Ben? Mohamed Sanu is not elite? There you go. Captain Tommy thinks that I'm using the porn set as my background. Does it look like a porn set? You watch a lot of porn, Gascon. Does it look like a porn set?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Captain Tommy.
Hey, by the way, Gascon, the correct answer to that is no. I don't look at when I'm watching porn. I don't look at the set. That's the correct answer.
Why not?
It's a bad job by you.
Why not? You got to look at everything.
No, you look at the actors, or the actress, I should say.
Hey, you said it. You said it. Mark tape.
Mark tape. There's no tape on this. My God. All right. Next up here on Benny versus the Penny, Buffalo at Miami. It's on CBS. Spiro Ditas and Adam Archuleta have the call. And the Buffalo Bills opened a 3-point favorite on the road. Would have loved the Bills at 3. They're up to 5.5 at Hard Rock Stadium. with fans in attendance. Now, the forecast of rain showers, 87 degrees, Gascon, 87 degrees. So it's going to be a muggy, hot day there. I'm taking Buffalo. I don't like favorites, but this is one I'm going to take a shot with Buffalo. The Bills have the softest launch you could possibly want to an NFL season. They opened up with gangrene at home last week, and now they get to squish the fish in Miami. And I am not fully smitten with Robbie the Mariner fan's favorite quarterback, Josh Allen. Okay, so I don't want to go on the record on that. But this is a guy as a dual threat quarterback against a Miami defense that had no concept, no way of stopping Cam Newton. Remember how Cam ran wild last week? And so I look at this as a similar situation. Now, obviously, the Dolphins are going to make some adjustments and try to correct what happened, recalibrate what happened. But my advice to Buffalo, forget Josh Allen throwing the ball. Run, Josh, run early and often. At some point, he will be taken down a peg. It's not going to happen this week. Buffalo, the last 3 seasons, has dominated Miami. They're 5-1 against the Dolphins. They've won their last 3. That's what has happened. Doesn't mean it's going to happen here. But as that song goes, Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team, which was true in the 1970s and maybe even the 1980s. But that's a long time ago. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, not only is he a quarterback, he stinks. He's terrible. So I'm going to take a Buffalo team that's on a mission here. And all you have to do is beat bad teams. You fatten up your record. Dolphins are devoid of elite talent. A disheartening start against the Patriots and a newbie quarterback for Bill Belichick, who was supposed to be rusty. He didn't look rusty. He looked like an MVP. The only thing that scares me a wee bit is that hot, muggy, humid weather. But I'm pretty confident it's still early enough in the season, and it's not like it's going to be played in the Sahara Desert. So I'm going to take the Bills, and I'm going to take the Bills to lay the lumber. Buffalo 40, Dolphins 17. And the penny picks.
Wow, the penny's going the other way with the Miami Dolphins. I mean, you always say division games early in the year, make sure it's a one-score game. And now you're going the opposite way. What the hell?
You got to pick your spots, Gascon. And it's not a touchdown. If it was a touchdown, I would take Miami. It's not a touchdown. And I just think Miami's brutal and terrible. And the thing about the dual threat quarterback, though, you don't fix that in 1 week. You can't go out and get a bunch of new linebackers in 1 week to fix covering the quarterback from running for 1,000,000 yards. So Josh Allen, he might only throw for 230 yards, something like that, but he could run for another 60, 70, 80 yards, which is big. That's huge. Keep the chains moving, right? Keep the chains moving.
Yeah, the only thing that's unfortunate is, fantasy guys like Zach Moss and Singletary, those guys don't get as many touches. And then there's a couple passes that he threw last week in the back of the end zone that went incomplete to wide open guys. It's just, for as big of an arm as that guy has, he's got to be a little bit more accurate. And if he is, that team could win 11, 12 games and possibly contend for the AFC crown.
Yeah. Emilio writes it. You see Emilio here? He says he had dinner. He blew off dinner with a girl for this podcast.
Nice.
Like that. Wow.
Nice. Never mind Netflix and chill. It's Benny versus the Penny and chill.
What more does one need on a Friday night, late night, right? What more do you need? Please, come on.
Who would you, Ty say, who would you rather take, Guskowski or Finkel? That's pretty damn good. I know who Ben's taking. Ben's taking Einhorn.
I'm going to take Charlie Brown to make the field goal. That's what I'm going to take. I'm going to take Charlie Brown with Lucy holding the ball. Pierre says Dan Marino is not walking through that door. It's a good line. Absolutely. Late night drug tester says, Ben, where is the amateur radio license plate? I have it. I'll have to pull that out next week. Remind me. I guess you just did remind me. Yeah. You know that story, Gascon?
No, what is the story? Well, you don't drive anymore anyway, so yeah.
Well, no. One of our imprisoned listeners, we have the criminal wing of the Maller Militia. And so the criminal wing of the Maller Militia, we have a lot of guys that listen in prison, which Yeah, I don't know how it all works. Are you allowed to have? I guess they have TV, but it's like a communal TV. But depending on what prison you're in, they give the guys radios. And so we've had guys that have listened and become friends and whatnot. I had a guy years ago in Florida who was his job in the prison was to make license plates. And so, yeah, he made a license plate, says, Mal or whatever on it, and amateur radio underneath it. And yeah, it was pretty cool. Now how he got that out of prison, Gascon, though, I don't know how he was able to sneak that out, because he is in there for life. That guy ain't getting out, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's in there for good. Yeah. So.
Now, because you brought up listeners, I will say with regards to tomorrow, if anyone gets a chance, on the top of the channel, you can click on the podcast. There's a great story that Ben has for everybody tomorrow regarding a longtime loyal listener. So you guys want to tune into that. It'll be released at 6 a.m. Eastern. It's going to be 6 a.m. Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. So grab that tomorrow. But it's a great story. We had Bernie Fratto on today, and then got a little something different tomorrow.
Yes, that is true. What else is going on in the chat? Criminal wing is the most honest wing of the militia. The criminal wing of the Malin militia, yeah. Well, it's good. If I ever end up in prison, these guys have my back, right? You gotta be prepared for that.
Now, I haven't noticed, Ben. Has anyone said anything about my tie tonight? My nice setup, the tie, the dress shirt,
well, no,
the nice apparel.
That giant microphone is covering it up, so people can't see it.
Move the microphone. You can move the tie.
See, there you go. Okay, yeah. All right.
That's good.
I like that you purposely only tie it that much. I like that you don't go all in on that for the style.
It's hot where I'm at right now. It's a little heated. Was working out earlier, so got the residue from exercising and then a cold shower, and it didn't cool me off. So a little warm right now. I'm not gonna lie.
I can see the sunlight coming in. It's almost like you're not in California, because the sun should be down. It's almost 10 o'clock in California. What are you doing here?
I know.
Jeez.
Speaking of which, it was hamburger. Today was like National Hamburger Day. Did you celebrate it all?
No, I had chicken strips for lunch today. I did not have a hamburger at all. All right, we got to get back to the game, Gascon. You're dragging me down. You're dragging me down. All right, next up on Benny versus the Penny. Again, if you've just joined us mid-broadcast, if you've just joined us here, marginal gambling advice on the NFL. So Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Vikings, and the Indianapolis Colts. It's on Fox. Tim Brando and Robert Smith in the Fox box that rocks. The Colts a 3-point favorite at home. Their home opener, Lucas Oil Stadium. Colts 0-1. Minnesota also 0-1. Sunny and 66 degrees outside of Lucas Oil Stadium. It's a dome. I'm going to take the Vikings here. And the way I look at Minnesota, number one is it's a grab bag. The Vikings are like a grab bag, because they were absolutely emasculated on defense by the Packers last week, and now they get old man Rivers this week. Now, Rivers is a turnover machine. He's a vending machine of turnovers here, which, as we all know from watching football over the years, is the great equalizer, certainly from a gambling standpoint. You can't handicap it for sure, but you know that's a possibility. I saw that the tight end, Jack Doyle, is going to be out of the lineup again. Ankle, knee problem there. Now, the reason it's a grab bag, as bad as the Viking defense was, the Vikings also, they gave up 43 points and 522 yards. They averaged 7.8 yards per play. That was the highest yards per play average in the entire NFL. Now, a lot of that was in garbage time, but that's the selling point. If you're a Minnesota gambler this week, you're working on the theory that Kirk Cousins and the Vikings are clicking, and that extreme outcomes are often followed by more moderate runs for the Minnesota defense, the Purple People Eaters. And then second, the Colts defense, now statistically they didn't give up a gaudy yardage total, but they were also humiliated by Gardner Minshew, who attempted 20 passes. He completed 19 of them. Gardy goes yardy. He averaged 8.7 yards per pass play, slicing and dicing the Colts defense. That is an insubordination situation. The Jags' offensive weapons are at the JV level compared to the varsity in Minnesota. Minnesota's got more toys to play with than Jacksonville does. The Vikings are going to be in a very precarious situation if they lose this game. Now, that doesn't mean they can't lose, but I expect Minnesota by the end of the year to be one of the top teams in the NFC. So in Mike Zimmer, I trust to put the train back on the tracks. Certainly like them as a small dog. Vikings will win the game outright. And Minnesota, 28, Indianapolis, 24, the final.
Ben, the penny's going with the Minnesota Vikings as well. Phillip Rivers, a sitting duck. I wonder who they're going to go with moving forward. I mean, you got Naheem Hines, and then you got Jonathan Taylor, the rookie running back from Wisconsin. So Rivers is...
By the way, Gascon, Pierre says we need less gag on. We're losing viewers because of you, Gascon. I think the moment you showed your tie.
Well, what we could do is we could just lose Pierre. How about that?
Wow.
It's a good idea.
How about that?
That's a pretty good idea. We could just lose him.
Mo writes in, boy, you're triggered. Mo writes in, says Cousins is the king of garbage time stats in fantasy.
He is. I mean, it's him and Matthew Stafford, right? Like they're 1-2, 2-1. I mean, those guys pick up a lot of garbage towards the end of a game. Although Stafford didn't. I mean, he was victimized last week by DeAndre Swift, but yeah, those two are like neck and neck in garbage.
All right, next up we have the Giants at the Bears. CBS has the call here as Ian Eagle and Charles Davis will broadcast. The Bears opened up a 5.5-point favorite, and they are favored by 5.5 in this game also here. Chicago, a home favorite by 5.5. It's going to be sunny, 65 degrees at Soldier Field, Chicago, right there just next to Lake Michigan. Beautiful stadium, although they renovated it a few years ago. It looks like a giant, like a spaceship. It's pretty crazy on the outside. But I'm going to take the Giants here. The Giants are looking to avoid what would be their fourth straight 0-2. Why are you laughing? Fourth straight 0-2 start. That would be the longest streak of futility in franchise history. Now, do I think they're going to win this game? Probably not. But they can keep it close. And the reason I like the Giants, I look at this as an even quarterback matchup. Daniel Jones versus Mitch Trubisky, a couple of unproven, mistake-prone quarterbacks. And people are like, wow, Trubisky led the Bears back. He was terrible for 75% of that game last week. And then he had an awakening in the fourth quarter. And the Bears still should have lost the game if DeAndre Swift makes that catch in the end zone. And, the ifs and buts were candy and nuts game. And as far as Daniel Jones is concerned, he had a couple of impressive drives against the top defense in football, the Pittsburgh Steelers, which you would say would give him confidence. However, he ended up making mistakes at the end of those drives. They had a 19-play drive. He threw an interception to Pittsburgh, threw a wounded duck up, just tossed it up for grabs at the goal line, which was ridiculous. And the Bears are not as imposing as the Steelers. They have a decent defense, but not as good as they've had in years past. I also like Saquon Barkley to bounce back from his anemic performance, kicked in the shins here. The Bears allowed 4.8 yards per carry. 4.8 yards per carry to old man Adrian Peterson drinking that grandpa juice and the Lion running back here. So, and then part B, if the Giants can simply run the ball, and I believe they can, we think they can, then this should be stealing candy from a baby. Joe Judge trying to build a team with backbone and moxie and all those things. And so I expect Mitch Trubisky, instead of an oil painting, which is what he had in the fourth quarter, I'm expecting a finger painting situation here. So the Bears are overrated. This is a close game. These teams are not that far apart. I'm going to take the Bears 30 and the Giants 28.
And the penny has got the home team in this one, the Chicago Bears.
I like that you like pause there for dramatic reasons. I like that.
Well, I'm waiting for the penny to settle down. Can you slow your roll just a little bit? No pun intended, please.
Now, did we skip the Detroit Green Bay game? Did we go out of order here, Gascon? Did we skip that game? Or
no, you're the chef. We can go appetizers. Yeah. We could go a side dish, a main dish. We can go cocktails. Whatever the hell you want.
All right, I don't know if there was a method to the madness here or not, but why don't we do the Detroit Green Bay game now? Yes?
Yeah, we could do that.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here.
Wait, yes? Last week we had our Dick Stockton game. Do we have a Dick Stockton game this week?
Yes, believe it or not, reports of Dick Stockton's demise were greatly exaggerated. Good. All you idiots that were busting my balls saying, you put Dick Stockton on the podcast and now he's out at Fox. Screw you.
But that was a great podcast. I had no idea that guy was so versatile. I mean, the guy plays the piano, he reads books, he writes books, he teaches classes. It was a great conversation we had with him.
No, I'm a huge fan. I love the old school broadcasters. Dick Stockton's a good guy, very classy, very polite. You know, I look at a guy Dick Stockton's had an amazing career in broadcasting.
Yeah.
He could treat somebody like me and somebody like you like the crap on the back of their shoe, and who cared? But he was very polite. He really wanted, he was asked us. We talked to him before the interview and after the interview, and he was great and wanted to help us out any way he could, and it's just great. Just a huge fan of Dick Stockton. I know the internet takes shots at him because he's not as perfect as he used to be, but he's getting up there, so that's what happens, right?
Yeah, I mean, John Sterling's up there, Chick Hearn was up there, Vince Scully was. Dude's still got some zip on the fastball, though.
So what jobs in broadcasting can you keep doing until you're in your 80s? Baseball play-by-play.
Yes.
Football play-by-play, right? Any play-by-play.
So can you be a public address announcer into your late 70s, early 80s?
Oh, yes. Remember the Yankees? Who was the guy that did the Yankees for years? The great pipes. I forget his name.
Yeah.
But he did that till his 90s.
So, yeah. But you couldn't be like Bruce or Michael Buffer, because if you're going to have a hype man being your PA guy or like your host inside of the octagon or inside the boxing ring, like you need to bring your A game every single night. I don't know if those guys can extend into the late 70s, early 80s.
The other thing I was thinking, local television, right?
Yeah,
TV news.
Yeah, what's Jim Hill? How old is Jim Hill?
I know Jim. Jim hasn't aged. Jim has not aged. Jim looks exactly the same. I told him this when I haven't seen him in a while, but I used to go to the games. I run into Jim Hill. Jim's an LA sportscaster, for those of you that aren't in LA. He's been on CBS. He used to be on ABC, but he's been on television since the 80s, early 80s, mid 80s, something like that.
What about your boy Rob Fukuzaki?
Yeah, Fuch's another guy. Yeah, these guys don't age, but yeah. So you can do that for a long time. I think maybe they're androids. Maybe that's it. They're androids. They're not actually real human beings.
What about an update anchor?
Oh, that you have a short lifespan as an update anchor. That doesn't last forever. Yeah, you're in some trouble there. All right, next up here, Detroit at Green Bay. It's on Fox, and you know who's calling this game?
This will be the Dick Stockton game.
It's the Chris Myers game. Chris Myers and Greg Jennings have the call, and this game obviously at Lambeau Field, mostly sunny, 65 degrees at kickoff. Green Bay, a 6.5-point favorite. I'm going to take the Lions in this game. Lion eyes upon us. Now, first of all, Detroit, let's start with the positive here. They had 426 yards of offense against Chicago. And as we mentioned in the previous game we were talking about a couple games ago, DeAndre Swift, if he makes the touchdown play at the end, then all of a sudden, ta-da! The Lions end up coming back, holding off the Bear rally. Obviously, that did not happen. But the Lions have some fight in them. And the reality, and we said this last week, that the great thing about playing bad teams early in the year is they don't realize they're bad. They haven't settled into being an embarrassing team. And the Giants have a pretty nondescript group of players, or the Lions rather have a pretty nondescript. You say the same about the Giants, but the Lions have a group of nondescript players, unsung players, and all that. So last season, and you can't say that the same thing's going to happen this year, but Green Bay won 13 games. But the games against Detroit, they were neck and neck to the very end. Both games were decided by just a couple of points. So I think this line is inflated because Green Bay put on such a show, and the public loves betting on Aaron Rodgers, all those stockholders for Green Bay. Now, secondly, Aaron Rodgers, who did have the 4 touchdowns against the Vikings. So this is what's known as an overreaction by the gambling public, expecting that every week Aaron Rodgers is going to have 4 touchdown passes, which is not realistic. I would say not so fast, my friends. The Lions do have some injuries, but think of this as a boxing match. You can spar. They're sparring back and forth, right? You got to bob and you got to weave as a boxer to hang around. I believe that happens. This will be within the 6.5-point margin. Give me the Packers 27 and the Lions 23.
Penny's going with the Green Bay Packers in this one. I don't trust Matthew Stafford against anybody in that division, let alone Aaron Rodgers. Get the hell out of here with this.
Stafford can move the ball against anybody. He'll get his yards. He'll also make a key mistake. That's how this goes. All right, next up.
It's like your buddy Rob Parker always says, like Stat Padford. That guy always puts up big yardage late in the fourth quarter when it's like a 17, 18-point deficit. And all of a sudden you look at the stat line and you say, oh, he had a pretty good game. That's what happens when you do box score radio, Ben Maller.
I don't do box score radio. What are you talking about? All right. Next up, Skip the Zip says, Bruce Buffer in 20 years,
yes.
Time for my sponge bath and tapioca. As what do you say? It is time. Yeah, that's right. There you go. Bring on the tapioca pudding. Absolutely. Dan says the Lions are still wiping vomit off their chin from last week. See, that's a good line, Dan. I like that.
Oh, what a heartbreaking loss, though. Oh, man.
Yeah. Pierre says, can you pull some strings and get Vin Scully on the podcast? That's a tough one. I don't know if Vin will do the podcast. I could ask Vin. You know, I'd like to get on is Ross Porter.
Yeah.
I worked with Ross. I have a good relationship with Ross. I know he's not Vin Scully, but Ross did Dodger games for 28 years or something like that on radio and television. And
yeah, he's doing Cal State Northridge baseball now, or he was until the pandemic hit everybody. But yeah.
And the great thing about Ross Porter is he did network television NFL at one point, and he was part. If you've ever seen the movie Anchorman,
yeah.
Ross Porter was a local TV sportscaster in L.A., and it was like Anchorman. He in the 1970s. He lived that life. I'm assuming if I ask Ross about that, he will not mention Anchorman at all. Of course, he probably has never seen the movie, but I've heard some amazing stories.
Kind of reminds me of Stu Nance, because Stu Nance was in a couple of those Rocky movies. And
is that right?
Yeah, he worked here locally for KTLA, right? Was it KTLA and KCAL?
It was Channel 9, but he was doing stuff.
Or Stu Nanahan, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're talking about Stu. Yeah, Stu. No, when I say Ross Porter was in Anchorman, I'm not saying he was in the movie. I'm saying his life. Stu Nanahan was actually in the movies.
Right.
He was actually in those movies.
Did he ever have a teleprompter miscue?
Stu Nanahan?
No, Ross Porter.
Ross Porter? I do not believe so.
No.
I don't. Yeah. All right. Who else? I'm looking at the chat here, and the numbers are going up a little bit, Gascon, because I've been talking more. Lee says, you can suck to Gascon choosing him to do an NFL game. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Know.
Do you know?
No.
I think there's a word missing there. I don't know what you're.
He's had a hard time spelling and accurate grammar for like the last 2-3 years that he's been following you on Twitter, so it's fine.
Wow.
It's fine.
Hey, Lee, feel free to curse at Gascon all you want. Yeah.
Not on my radar. Anyway, so where are we going next? We went from Green Bay and Detroit to where?
Let's go to Jacksonville at Tennessee. It's on CBS. We go to Nashville. Andrew Catalan and James Lofton have the call. The Titans originally were a double-digit favorite. That's down to 7.5. The line at 7.5 right now. It's going to be sunny, 73 degrees. at kickoff at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. And the pick here, I'm going to take Jacksonville plus the 7.5. Gardner Minshew, we mentioned it earlier, 19 out of 20 passing last week. This guy is young, hungry, but he has the most important thing that a quarterback can have. I'm a big fan, Gascon, of Mike Leach, the college football coach who's now in Mississippi. And Mike Leach has always said the most important thing for a quarterback, he ranked the 5 things you have to be a great quarterback. Number 5, according to Mike Leach, was to have a strong arm. Now, most people say that's number 1. You've got to have an NFL arm, make all the throws. Leach said number 4, you have to be fast. Number 3, you have to have quick feet. Number 2, you have to make good decisions. And number 1 is accuracy. So I would take number 1. Number 1 and number 2 on that list are obviously humongous. And that is where Gardner Minshew is. I don't think he's fast. I don't think he's got the strongest arm. I don't think he's got quick feet per se, but he's accurate and he makes good decisions, and that gives you a fighting chance. It gives you a fighting chance. And so Jacksonville played a complete game last week against Indy. This will be a fight, a dog fight until the end. And eventually they're going to get pummeled. They're not a good team. I'm not telling you Jacksonville's going to be a playoff team because they're not, but they can be in these games. They can have a shot, right, and let the other team self-destruct. Now, unfortunately, they're not playing Phillip Rivers again, so they can't be guaranteed a bunch of turnovers and all that. And then the second thing, another reason to like Jacksonville is you look at Ryan Tannehill. You should never, listen closely, Gascon, you should never trust Ryan Tannehill when favored by more than 5 points. You know what his career record is when favored by 5 or more? 3-8. Is his record covering the spread. That's a 273 winning percentage. He was not impressive. He averaged 5.8 yards per attempt in that game this past Monday against your Broncos. And Derrick Henry, he had 116 yards, but that was a quiet performance by his standards. Now, Tennessee, another one of these situations where they should win the game, but the line is inflated. The Titans will be without wide receiver A.J. Brown. He's got a bad knee, so that's one less weapon in the passing game. And I don't trust Tannehill. I think Jacksonville's got a little bit of confidence going for them. And anytime you get a touchdown or greater in a divisional game, you do not ask questions. You take the points and say, thank you very much. So I will do that right now. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jags plus 7.5. They threw a hook in there over Tennessee. And the Penny picks.
Penny's going with the Tennessee Titans in this one. Minus 7.5. What score do you have for that game anyway?
Didn't I give the score? I thought I gave it 24 to 20. 24 to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Active listening, Ben Miller.
Let's see. Gardner Minshew is the Dunder Mifflin's biggest rival, according to Skip the Zip. There you go.
You should never trust Ryan Tannehill to babysit your pet rock.
The drug tester says Mike Leach for White House press secretary, Democrat or Republican. Well, that would be fun.
Could you imagine?
Mike Leach. Oh, jeez. Be great. Ty says Jacksonville has momentum. There is no such thing as momentum, Ty. It does not exist. You know that. You're trying to trigger me. It's not going to work. All right, let's get to the late games. How about we're doing better, Gascon. Let's get to the late games.
We are. Quick little plug. Ben and I talked about it earlier for those that just jumped in on the broadcast. We've partnered with Fanatics. So on the description of this page, go a little bit down, like halfway through, there's a link there. So if you want to click on that link, that actually supports what we do here for the show. You can buy anything right now in Fanatics. We're working on some things for next week in terms of free shipping and some additional discounts, but everything on there. NFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, whatever it is. Baseball season coming right down to the end. Ben Maller, Dodger Blue. So if anyone wants to buy that, go ahead. But of course, it's NFL season. But yeah, you guys can support the show by doing that. And of course, social media. We're available on Twitter, Instagram, and I know you're selling yourself to the soul with Cameo as well.
That's right, Cameo.com. We love Cameo.com. The Demon Spawn writes in. Are you happy? Are you proud that the Demon Spawn is listening to the show?
That's good. It's a good name.
Says Big Ben Maller for Supreme Court Justice. Yeah, I saw there's a job open on the Supreme Court now, Gascon.
All right. Sure. Her body's not even cold yet. Like,
well, I'm not. I didn't say anybody's. I just saw the headline. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I know she'd been in poor health, but my condolences.
Cancer, yeah.
All right, cancer.
87 years old, yeah.
That's a good run.
Yeah.
But when you're 87, you'd probably like 88. You know what I'm saying? You know. All right. Late games. Washington at Arizona. It is on Fox, Gascon. It's on Fox, and this is the Dick Stockton game. Dick lives in Arizona this time of the year, and so here it is. Dick Stockton and Brady Quinn have the call on Fox. Brady Quinn, our colleague at Fox Sports Radio. So the line on this game, Cardinals opened up a 7-point favorite. They are favored by 6. It'll be 101 degrees and sunny in Glendale, Arizona. Arizona 1-0, Washington 1-0. This game at State Farm Stadium. That is the corporate name now for the stadium in Arizona. I tried to find a way to take Washington, the Washington football team. Could not do it. So I'm going to take Arizona. I don't like favorites. I don't like favorites here, but I'm going to take Arizona at -6 at home. Washington spotted Philly a 17-0 lead, and then were able to come back. Did you realize, though, in the second half, I had to look this up because I was flipping through all the games, and it didn't seem like the Washington team was getting a lot of chunk plays. They only had 103 yards of offense in the second half. That's not very much to outscore Philly. They scored a little bit in the second quarter, but to outscore them 27-0 after falling behind 17-0 and only 103 yards of offense in the second half. The thing to like about the former Redskins is that defense, but I don't even know if that's got any staying power. I would say that's more of a mirage. They were able to take advantage of Carson Wentz's ineptitude, the offensive line in Philadelphia. The Eagles, who have a lot of offensive weaponry compared to the former Redskins, 90 total yards in the second half. Now, the second thing here, the reason I like Arizona from an offensive standpoint, it's an offensive league. This is a humongous mismatch. My God, Washington, they've got nobody to throw the ball to or to run the ball with and all that. And Dwayne Haskins, he's not going to be able to keep up. He's going to need a lifeguard here. It's going to be like that. Remember that scene from I Love Lucy, the chocolate scene with the conveyor belt? That's what this is going to be like for the Washington offense as they try to keep up. And, you're a big Kyler Murray fanboy over here. You like the short Oompa Loompa quarterbacks, alligator arms Murray. He was a better runner than a passer last week. Now, don't make me go to the stats, Gascon. But if you want, I can go to the stats. But I don't want to get long-winded here. But he is compared to his contemporaries.
Go get long-winded. That's fine. Let's pour it on. A little sauce on top.
All right. You want me to go to the stats?
Yes. We can go to it.
All right. I'm going to go to the stats right now. So just to prove my point that Kyler Murray last week against the 49ers as a runner was great, but as a passing quarterback, which is the most important thing, passing, he was not great. In fact, Kyler Murray, at this very moment, is the 27th ranked quarterback in the NFL, and you were singing his praises. Dwayne Haskins had a better performance for Washington last week, according to quarterback ranking. In fact, the only quarterbacks that have been worse than Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, Tyrod Taylor, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's it. Everyone else had a higher passer rating. Even Tom Brady, who was terrible in that game, had a higher passer rating. But wait, there's more, Gascon. You want more, right? I'll give you more. What are some other important statistical categories for a quarterback?
How about wins? How about that?
Well, I would say accuracy is a pretty important thing, right?
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, 16th in accuracy. So he's average in accuracy. That's not great, right? 16th is average. You can do better than 16th, yes?
Yeah, you could.
I'm waiting. All right, so he's 27th quarterback rating. average in completion percentage. Another big stat is yards per pass attempt, right? Yards per pass attempt. That's a pretty big statistic, right? 7 is average. And if you're over 7, you're doing better than average. Where do you think Kyler Murray ranks in yards per pass attempt?
I'm going to say he's probably middle of the pack, like 15, 16.
Kyler Murray is 29th in yards per attempt.
Okay, that's fine. Now
again, this is a guy you were praising at the start, which shows me you're a low information fan.
Well, hold on one second.
You're a low information. You're a dumb fan.
The fact that the guy is under 6 feet tall, just went to Santa Clara and upset the NFC champs in the division and had a couple touchdowns. I thought he played dominant football and got the ball to his playmaker in DeAndre Hopkins. That's exactly what you want. They weren't expected to win that game.
Gascon, I just gave you the numbers against matching him up against all the other quarterbacks as a passer.
That's fine.
I agree with you as a runner, as a gadget gimmick quarterback. Sure. It's like I like going Venice Beach in LA here. Used to have the sideshow, right?
Sure.
I liked watching the sideshow. I did. I watched a lot. I liked the freaks and all that. And Alligator Arms Murray is a freak.
Okay.
Way to go.
He beat a pretty damn good San Francisco team.
Yeah. Okay. Again, against his contemporaries, he's at the bottom. So that's where he stands right now. Those are the numbers. Those are the facts. Come at me with some facts. All right, next up, Baltimore at Houston.
Wait, you didn't pick the game, though, did you?
I thought I did. All right, I picked Arizona. Cardinals 34, Washington 20. Got carried away there. My God.
That's fine. That's fine. And the penny back-to-back weeks is going with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals.
Wonder why. This isn't rigged. This isn't a rigged deal, is it? All right, next up. I'm moving up. We got to get out of here, guys. We got a bunch of games. We got 4 games left. All right, Baltimore at Houston. It's on CBS. Kevin Harlan and Trent Green have the call. The Ravens, a touchdown favorite on the road at NRG Stadium in Houston. It's going to be 88 degrees at kickoff, deep in the heart of Texas, mostly sunny. I am going to take the Ravens. I will lay the 7. I'm going to lay the lumber on the Baltimore Ravens here. They have been the regular season juggernaut. The Ravens have gone 12 straight regular season games without trailing in the second half. 12. That's the longest streak by any NFL team since the Bears, but not the 1980s Bears. This is the 1930s Chicago Bears. Wow. I mean, that's George Halas territory. The last team to have a streak longer than 12 games was the Packers from 1929 to 1930, the early days of the NFL. Normally, I would tell you to take the Texans. I hate road favorites by this much. However, this is one of those exceptions to the rule situation. The Texans look like a lightweight against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and they had a little bit of extra time. That was a Thursday night NFL opener, but they are back in the deep fryer here with Lamar Jackson. Regular season Lamar Jackson versus playoff Lamar Jackson. The Texans are allowing an NFL high 168 rushing yards per game since week 11 of last season. What is the meat and potatoes of Baltimore? That is right. Run, 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 run. So they will get their yards on the ground. There will be opportunities to throw the ball for Lamar Jackson. Deshaun Watson, I love the backhanded compliment, the left-handed compliment that John Harbaugh gave Deshaun Watson. We talked about it the other night on the radio, but Deshaun Watson, he said, he was praising him for holding the ball longer than any quarterback in the NFL, which is not a good thing. You're supposed to get it, make a quick decision, and get rid of it. And we saw Deshaun Watson without that big-time playmaker. I do like the fact that the Texans, after one game already, did you see who's already on the injury report? Former Ram, former Patriot, former Saints receiver, Brandon Cooks, although he might play in this game. Either way, this is a lopsided situation. I am going to take the Baltimore Ravens 33 and the Houston Texans 23.
Ben, the penny is also laying the wood, too, going with the Baltimore Ravens.
All right, Benny versus the penny. Remember, Fanatics, there's a link right there. You can check it out and join the fun. Pierre says Bill O'Brien is on the hot seat. I'm keeping an eye on the chat room here. And let's see here. Anything really pop up? It's kind of slowed down in the chat. I blame you, Gascon. I blame you. Not as many witty comments.
I blame the time. It's 10:19. Most of the listeners are starting to drink at this time. So,
well, most of the population, it's 1 in the morning. They've been drinking for hours, Gascon.
That's true.
Come on.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, next up, Kansas City at the Los Angeles Chargers of Inglewood. In the hood in Inglewood, they open up at that stadium they're sharing with the Rams. It's on CBS. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are going to call this game, this big game for the CBS broadcast channel because of Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs, an 8.5-point favorite in this game, as you can see there on the road. It'll be sunny, 72 degrees at kickoff at SoFi Stadium. And this is one of those games I was trying to find a reason to take the Chargers, and I did. I'm going to take the Chargers. I'm going to take the 8.5. Now, I admit that if you look at this just on the surface, Patrick Mahomes versus Tyrod Taylor is like a flamethrower versus a water balloon launcher in terms of competition. There's not a lot going on. I guess our better analogy would be like it's a flamethrower versus a wet box of matches, which is what Tyrod Taylor is. So watching the Browns slice up the Bengals, you wonder how far behind this Charger offense is with Tyrod Taylor. I mean, they couldn't do anything consistently last week against the Cincinnati defense. I know Cincinnati had some injuries, but the Chargers punted 5 times and turned the ball over on downs twice against a Cincinnati defense that was gouged for 434 yards of offense. So that's a bad sign. However, you're at home, and the Chiefs are not going to win every game by a gazillion points. You're naive if you think that. The Chiefs have more talent, obviously. They can certainly overwhelm the Chargers, but the Chargers' defense is pretty good. And that said, they can create some situations where Mahomes has to make quick decisions, and he's capable of making the mistake and fumbling or throwing an interception, things like that will really, really give an edge to L.A. And the other thing is special teams. The Chargers can win the special teams battle. Kansas City is by far the best team in the NFL. There's the Chiefs and everybody else who's chasing them. However, anytime you can get over a touchdown in a divisional game, you do it. You take the points. You don't ask a lot of questions. You don't try to figure out how it's going to happen. You just have faith that it will happen. So, Chiefs 24 and the Chargers 17. Excuse me. It's carried away there, Gascon.
You're a little nervous taking Tyrod Taylor. I don't care who it is, but Penny's going with the Kansas City Chiefs in this thing.
Yeah, well, the recipe to financial ruin in sports betting is laying 8.5 with road teams. All right, next up, Sunday night football. Sunday night football on NBC. New England 1-0, Seattle 1-0. Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth have the call. The Seahawks opened up a 3-point favorite. They're a 4-point favorite at home at CenturyLink Field, the stadium that I was banned from attending their last Seahawks home game. I was standing outside with the Maller militia, and they did not allow me in there. The Seattle Seahawks incompetent PR department. And now they're not allowing anyone in the stadium. So I was ahead of my time, Gascon. I was ahead of now all the Seahawk fans, the 12th man has been banned. So are they going to raise the 12th man flag if there's no 12th man in attendance? How's that going to work?
I think you still got to raise it, right? Someone that's on IR, or maybe like a hero of the night, like someone from the military or law enforcement.
They should have a go. They wouldn't do that in Seattle, law enforcement. Don't they hate law enforcement in Seattle?
I think it's a little bit different depending on where you're at.
They should bring in the king of Chaz, should raise the flag up. What do you think?
What about Jay Scoop? Yeah, you get Jay Scoop over there and raise the flag.
Yeah, I could get Jay Scoop to do it. All right, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. Seattle, I mentioned a 4-point favorite. I'm going to take the Patriots here. This is one I originally was on Seattle. I flipped it. I went to New England. This is a huge upgrade of opponent. One of the reasons I was leaning towards Seattle, I didn't have the balls to do it, is the fact that the Patriots opened up against a lightweight, the Miami Dolphins, and now they're on the road at Seattle. And the fans obviously won't be there, but you're still traveling across the country. And it's like going from 1 + 1 = 2, basic arithmetic, to advanced calculus, right? When you go from playing the Dolphins and now the next week you're taking on a team like Seattle. Now, that said, the crowd variable, as we said, we all know is eliminated, the 12th man and all that in COVID jail. Cam Newton figures to come back and not be able to run wild against the Seattle defense the way he was able to do it against the Dolphins defense. So he's going to have to be able to throw passes down the field more and move the ball that way. I gave him an A- in his debut against the Dolphins. The big ace in the hole, and the main reason I'm going to take the Patriots here, Bill Belichick is the master of taking advantage of those hidden yards, special teams, penalties. He has a disciplined team. All of those little things that don't generally get talked about very much, but when you handicap a game, they are very important. And anytime you can get Belichick and they'll give you over a field goal, that is a good spot to be in. Now, the devil's advocate argument is that Russell Wilson has played 28 games in prime time, and he is 19-9 against the spread. That is tremendous. When he's been the quarterback, his team in prime time has won 19 out of 28. That tells you what he has done. It does not tell you what he's going to do in this game. Now, here's another fun fact. You want a fun fact, Gascon?
Sure.
Pete Carroll, the Seahawks coach, is the oldest coach in the NFL. He's 69. Belichick is 68. This is the first game in NFL history in which both teams are going to have a head coach who's 68 or older. So this is the oldest coaching matchup in NFL history. I will take the Patriots to win the game outright. As Arnie says, I don't want the points. I don't need the points, and I'm not going to take the points. Patriots 24, Seahawks 23. I don't need them.
And the penny is going with the home team in this one, the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, Pierre writes in and says, the stream is like Chris and Houston's phone.
Man.
Is that right, Gascon? Are we having technical difficulties
No,
here?
we're not having any technical difficulties. They're probably
These guys busting my balls here? Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. All right, Skip the Zip says the 0 man for Seattle. Instead of the 12th man, the 0th man. And he also says Bill Belichick is a master of cheating.
Yes.
There you go. All right. Dan says you're losing viewers because we keep getting kicked out of the feed. Are you kicking people out of the feed, Gagon?
No, I'm not kicking anybody out. Of course not.
These guys are saying you're kicking them out of the feed. What are you doing? Don't be doing that.
Got to pay a toll, man.
Walt says Happy New Year. Thank you, Walt. I appreciate it. You got to have some apples and honey, Gascon. It's the Jewish New Year. You got to have apples and honey. That's the tradition. Whatever. All right. I'm going to take as I said, the Pacers 24, Seahawks 23. Did the penny pick the game? I wasn't listening.
Yeah, of course not. Seahawks get the points.
All right. Monday Night Football. We've made it to the final game. Did I miss any, Gascon? I don't think I missed any. Yes?
You've cleared the board so far.
All right, New Orleans at Las Vegas. It's on ESPN. Now, did they change the broadcast? I have Steve Levy and Brian Griese. They're not doing the game, though, right?
So, yeah, I saw it was Reese Davis that was on this, along with Kirk Herbstreit.
All right, well, I did not see that. The NFL sends me a list of broadcasters, and they had on the official NFL list Steve Levy and Brian Griese. However, the NFL also had Kenny Albert calling the game in New York, and Kenny's not calling the game, so it's not apparently updated. Anyway, New Orleans 1-0, Las Vegas 1-0. The Saints opened a 4-point road favorite. They're favored by 5.5. Sunny, 94 degrees at kickoff. at 5 o'clock on a Monday night at Allegiant Stadium. I'm going to take the Raiders here. I'm going to take the Raiders in their Vegas debut. Did you know, since 2010, under Sean Payton, the New Orleans Saints, when favored on the road by 4 or more points, are 13-16 against the spread. So they have a losing record as road favorites by 4 or more points. Obviously, this game falls into that category. And when you add in the variable of an older Drew Brees, no Michael Thomas, not expected to play, New Orleans is going to have to shift to a run, conservative, offensive type of team with defense and field position. That has been my hypothesis. Now, they could come out and make me look like a schmuck, and I could be totally wrong, and New Orleans could go out and put 50 points up, but I don't see it. This is also a letdown spot after a huge matchup with the Tom Brady Buccaneers last week. So you've got that. It says primetime Monday night, but divisional game, Breeze versus Brady was a bigger deal. And then for the Raiders, it's all about christening the Death Star. Have you been to Vegas over the last year?
No, I have not. I haven't been to Vegas, I think, since... Gosh, I haven't been to Vegas since last year, like last June or July.
All right. Well, I was there in December, just before January, which is when December is, but late December, like between Christmas and New Year's. And it was, the outside of it was done then. It is imposing. Yeah. The Death Star. When you drive in from L.A. on I-15 there to Vegas, it's on the left side of the freeway. You can see the Vegas Strip. If you look ahead on the right, and so it's pretty good. It's right near the freeway there. So no fans at this game. The key for the Silver and Black is the line of scrimmage, as it is for most teams. Establish the run with Josh Jacobs, and then you take the pressure off Derek Carr. The question is, can the Raiders do that here against the New Orleans defense, which is pretty good? Can they run the football? The Bucs could not. They didn't do, as Jim Mora would say, diddly squat against the Saints' run defense last week. They averaged just 3.3 yards a game. Tampa did. But this ain't Tampa. This is the Raiders. I expect this to be a closely contested game, a pretty good Monday nighter. I don't trust Drew Brees. He looks old to me. My instinct tells me that if you get the home team here and you're getting over a field goal in a game that should be close, that's a good spot. I'm taking the Raiders, though, to win the game outright. I think this Saints team comes back down here. They get to 1-1. I'm going to take Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Raiders, 30, and the New Orleans Saints, 28.
And the penny's got Vegas as well. Shooter coming out.
There you go. All right. So those are two great party towns, though, right? New Orleans and Las Vegas. Man.
Yeah. Vegas, New Orleans, little New York, little L.A., all up there.
Yeah. Lee writes in, says, thank you, Ben. I'm trying my best to follow you. I appreciate that, Lee. I know my spelling is not my best, but I'll do my best, and I will get better, I promise. But Gascon will always be always be an ass.
Yeah, Lee, there's a little thing called the internet. You can look up words if you don't know how to spell it. A little spell check on there before you push send.
Well, Lee, listen, Lee's east of the 405. See, Lee, Gascon's an elitist narcissist. He looks down upon the little man.
Yeah,
right.
Elementary school education to help you out with the spelling.
Wow,
not asking for a whole lot.
Not everyone can be as bright as you, Gascon, as genius as you. Yeah. Dan says Las Vegas, the house always wins. He says, there you go.
Unless, of course, you're at the craps table, and then it's almost a 50-50 split.
The greatness of the Raiders. There you go. There's a debate about LeBron James in the chat room. They're going back and all that.
I'm surprised because a lot of the Mallard Militia was asking about the results in tonight's Western Conference Finals, game number 1, and you really didn't comment on that. So I was kind of curious as to why that was. Last week you were ranting and raving about the Clippers and the Nuggets, and now you got bull testicles in your face tomorrow.
Let me explain something, Gascon. All right. It says here in the description of the podcast, professional and college football are officially back. So that means it's time to haul in money. Ben and David run you through every NFL game from week 1 to 17 to make sure you have the best information available to bet against the spread. Nowhere in there does it say that I have to break down an NBA game. I'm off the clock, Gascon. That's fine. I'm not getting unless all these guys, all these people go in to Fanatics and click that link at the bottom there. It's a Benny Penny link at the bottom in the description, and everyone buys a hat. Then maybe I'm getting paid. Otherwise, we're not getting paid. This is like a weird science experiment here. We're just effing around. So if I was forced to do radio, I would be on the radio in about half an hour, and I would have to do a monologue. But I don't, and I didn't even really watch most of the game. I saw a little bit of it. And in the second quarter, I said, okay, the Nuggets didn't come to play. That's it. They're done. And that was it. I didn't need to see the second half. And from what I understand, it didn't get any better in the second half. So that's fine. But listen, my dream guess, Gascon, is the Nuggets. Forget 3-1. I want the 3-0. Lakers to win I want 3-0 and then the Nuggets to come back. I'd like that.
That'll never happen in the NBA.
More painful. Well, the reason it's not going to happen is because the NBA cannot have the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets both playing the finals. That would be a disaster. Can you imagine? If the ratings are down, Trump and all those guys, they're going to be like, oh, see, it's because of this. Right. And they're guaranteed to go down if it's Miami and Denver. That is not a national NBA Finals matchup where people will be excited. Now, I don't care. I'm a sports talk show host. I'll talk about it if it's the Nuggets and the Miami Heat. But the thing about, as you know, those championship rounds, they've got to get the casual, low-information fan excited. And the low-information fan's a dummy. The low-information fan is someone that likes the big, sexy name, right? They don't know anything. That's why a lot of the dumbest fan is the Laker fan, because they don't know anything. Dumbest fan in football is the Cowboy fan. Dumbest fan, you go down the list, right? Dumbest fan in baseball is a Yankee fan because, band Wagner, as Blair and Maine would say.
You're taking shots at pretty much the entire militia right now. I hope you acknowledge that. There's a ton of Cowboy fans that listen to your show, a ton of Laker fans that listen to your show.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And a ton of Yankee fans that listen to your show.
No. We don't have that. No, we don't have that.
So,
all right, are we done, Gascon? Can I go now watch TV or something? I got to watch a documentary or something like that.
Are we putting the baby? Are we putting the baby to bed?
Well, yeah. Yeah, we're putting the baby to bed. What do you want to do? A monologue here or something like that?
No. So just a friendly reminder to everyone that's watching the show. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. I include the handles in the description. Also, the broadcast is brought to you by Ecamm Live. It's Mac-based, but it's great for creative content, for those out there looking to produce content, teachers, people in business and marketing, anyone that wants to stream anything online. You can do through Zoom, through Skype, through Facebook, through YouTube, as we're doing right now. There's a link on the description at the bottom as well through our affiliate link. And, of course, as you mentioned with Fanatics, we're going to try to do some more things next week. But click on the link, support the show. And, of course, like you said, we appreciate everyone chiming in here tonight.
Yes, and remember the golden rule: if you win a lot of money, it's because of the podcast. If you lose a lot of money, this is entertainment only. This is for entertainment purposes only. Yes, Gascon?
Yes, sir.
Right? All right, listen, have a great weekend, guys. Remember the 5th Hour podcast all weekend. That thing's going to drop at 9 in the morning Eastern, 6 a.m. in the West, and we've got a great story about a legend in the Maller Militia. And I'll give you the play-by-play on what happened. And I've not told in this detail the story ever before. So you'll hear that. And we have the mailbag on Sunday. So we've got podcasts all weekend. And then back after the NFL, after that Patriots-Seahawks game on Sunday night, we'll be on the radio late night. So have a great rest of your weekend. We'll catch you then. I'm turning this thing off, Gascon. I'm getting out of here. And I'm going to put the sun down.